What if the things that go bump in the night aren't just figments of our imagination? Today, we're diving into 3 chilling true stories that will make you question everything you thought you knew about fear. The watchful neighbor. In a quiet suburb, where houses lined the streets like neatly arranged toys, the Johnson family moved into their new home. The neighborhood seemed perfect. A friendly community, well-kept lawns, and children playing outside. It was everything they had hoped for, but soon, they began to notice strange occurrences. First, it was subtle. They'd hear whispers when the wind blew, or catch glimpses of movement from the corner of their eye. One evening, while settling in for the night, they heard soft thuds coming from the backyard. When they looked outside, there was nothing but darkness. As days went by, the feeling of being watched grew stronger. The Johnsons noticed their neighbor, Mr. Harris, lurking near his window. He would stand there for hours, staring blankly into their yard, as if waiting for something or someone. When they waved, he would quickly disappear behind the curtain, leaving them with an unsettling sense of dread. Children complained about shadows that danced just beyond their sight at night. They would often wake up screaming, convinced someone was watching them from the darkness. The parents dismissed it as typical childhood fears, but deep down, they felt the weight of something sinister pressing against their home. One evening, curiosity got the better of them. They decided to confront Mr. Harris. As they approached his house, they were met with an eerie silence. Lights flickered inside, casting strange shadows across the porch. He knocked, and after a long pause, the door creaked open. Mr. Harris stood there, eyes wide, a strange smile on his face. In that moment, they noticed something shocking. The walls of his home were lined with photographs of their family, taken from various angles at different times. Their hearts raced as they realized he had been watching them, documenting their lives without their knowledge. Feeling violated and terrified, Johnsons decided they could no longer live there. They packed their belongings and moved away, leaving behind the memories of a neighborhood that had once seemed so welcoming. In the end, the experience left them shaken. They now understood that safety is not just about a nice neighborhood or friendly faces. Sometimes the darkest secrets hide behind the most ordinary doors. Johnsons learned to trust their instincts and always be aware of their surroundings, forever haunted by the watchful neighbor who had turned their dream home into a nightmare. Whispers in the woods. A group of 5 friends, Emily, Jake, Sarah, Tom, and Lisa, set off for a weekend camping trip deep in the woods. The sun was shining, and laughter filled the air as they drove down the winding road. They arrived at a beautiful clearing surrounded by tall trees, the perfect spot to pitch their tents and escape the hustle of everyday life. As night fell, they gathered around the campfire, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories. The stars sparkled above them, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. But as the fire crackled, a chilling breeze swept through the trees, bringing an unsettling hush over the group. Shrugged it off, attributing it to the wildness of the forest. Later that night, as they settled into their tents, strange sounds began to echo in the darkness. It started as soft whispers, barely audible, weaving in and out of the night. Jake, unable to sleep, stepped outside to investigate. He felt a prickling sensation on the back of his neck, as if something was watching him. He returned to the tent, heart racing, but his friends laughed it off, thinking it was just his imagination. However, as the hours passed, the whispers grew louder, accompanied by rustling leaves and distant snapping twigs. The friends huddled together, fear creeping into their hearts. Every shadow seemed to dance with intent. The feeling of being followed hung heavy in the air. They could hear branches snapping nearby, close for comfort, but when they looked, nothing was there. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the woods, sending them into a panic. They scrambled out of their tents, flashlights shaking in their hands. That's when they saw it, a dark figure standing at the edge of the clearing, barely illuminated by the moonlight. Its outline was blurred, almost shifting, and it felt as if it was staring right at them. Chaos erupted as the friends yelled and ran in different directions, heartbeats pounding in their ears. Molly stumbled, falling to the ground. The others turned back, fear gripping them as they realized they had lost each other. In the confusion, the figure moved closer, and the friends could hear a low growl reverberating through the air. Eventually, they regrouped, breathless and terrified. They fled the campsite, not stopping until they reached their car, hearts racing. The figure had vanished into the night, leaving them shaken and confused. They drove away, the woods disappearing behind them as they glanced back, wondering what they had encountered. The aftermath of that night lingered long after they returned home. Friends found it hard to enjoy nature as they once had. What was once a place of peace and adventure now felt threatening and unknown. They often hear whispers in the wind or see shadows flicker in their peripheral vision, sending chills down their spines. The experience changed them, teaching them that nature holds both beauty and danger. Learn to respect the wild, understanding that sometimes the most terrifying encounters come from the places we least expect. The unexpected visitor. The Miller family was thrilled to move into their new home. It was a charming old house with creaky floorboards and character, nestled in a friendly neighborhood. Excitement filled the air as they unpacked boxes, decorating each room with their personal touch. But as they settled in, an unsettling feeling began to creep in, like a chill in the air that wouldn't go away. It started with small things. They'd hear strange noises at night, soft thuds and whispers that echoed through the hallways. At first, they dismissed it as the house settling, but then doors began to open and close on their own, and lights flickered unexpectedly, casting eerie shadows across the walls. The children, once excited to explore their new home, started to feel anxious, claiming they felt watched when they were alone. One evening, after a long day of unpacking, the family sat down for dinner. Suddenly, they heard a loud bang from upstairs. The parents exchanged worried glances, and with hesitant hearts, they decided to investigate. As they climbed the staircase, the air grew thick with tension. Each step creaked ominously beneath them, amplifying their growing fear. When they reached the top, they found a door slightly ajar. The children were huddled together, whispering nervously. As they pushed the door open, a chill ran down their spines. The room was empty, but they could feel a presence lingering, as if someone had just been there. Parents tried to reassure their kids, but a knot of unease tightened in their stomachs. Then, one fateful night, everything changed. The family was tucked in for bed when they heard a loud crash coming from the living room. They rushed downstairs, hearts pounding, only to find the furniture rearranged as if someone had been moving things around, and that's when they saw it. Dark figure standing in the shadows, its features indistinguishable, just watching them. Panic erupted. The parents grabbed their children and rushed for the front door, but it slammed shut before they could reach it. The figure moved closer, and a wave of icy dread washed over them. In that moment, the feeling of being trapped was overwhelming. Finally, they managed to push through the door and escape into the night. They ran to a neighbor's house, breathless and terrified, explaining what had happened. The neighbor listened intently, their face pale. "You're not the first to experience this," whispered, revealing stories of past residents who had encountered similar disturbances. The Millers decided to leave the house behind. They found a new place and slowly began to rebuild their lives, but the experience haunted them. They struggled to reclaim their sense of safety, often jumping at the smallest sound. The memories lingered, a shadow cast over their daily lives. Over time, they learned to talk about their fears, sharing their stories with one another. They found comfort in each other's company and took small steps to face their anxiety. But even now, when the wind howls at night or a door creaks, they can't help but glance over their shoulders, remembering the unexpected visitor who turned their dream home into a nightmare.